That's when I joined Rotary and joined the chamber, both in July of that year. Between the three of them, I'm sure they'll keep me busy enough. And I was very busy. And, doing the dinner dance kept me really busy.
Sure.
That was so fun.
And I loved it.
It was a big project. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Living Well Together with myself, your host, Dr. Terry, and
Lisa.
And we've got a special guest with us today. Super special guest.
So
you guys
special.
are going to love this. When we go through the list, we made a huge list, by the way. You should see the list of people that are going to be
This long. Yeah.
that we have lined up. And guess who floated to the top of the list?
Tom Kirsch.
We've got Tom Kirsch with us today. Tom's going to tell you a little bit about his story, but he's our current executive director for the Chamber of Commerce in our town. And I will tell you, he is turning the Chamber of Commerce on its ear.
In the best way possible.
In really, really good ways. Yeah. Not that the people that were there working their tails off for years didn't have a good thing going, but he is putting a fresh spin on how the commerce in our town gets done,
Right.
and the connections and the relationships and the authenticity that comes with building a small community, a big life in a small town.
Yeah.
And so we are just so fortunate to have him. I've got all these notes.
I know. You did such a great job with the feedback, Tom. It's awesome.
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah. And you filled us in just a little bit as we were pre-chatting about your background and where you came from and that you were born here and raised here.
Absolutely.
And then you ended up in Arizona?
We did. Yeah, I always had a dream as a child growing up. I loved the outdoors. I was in Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts. I was in the woods all the time. Loved being outside. And I've always been interested in science.
Ooh.
Science, my weakest subject. And I think it was the curiosity of what I have to do to make it even better is why I pursued it, along with my love of the outdoors.
Yeah.
But I thought my dad and mom gave me a chance to go to Philmont as a junior in high school. And when I saw the West, I was in love.
Yes.
In fact, since I lost my wife, when I am out west in the inner mountain west, the western slope of Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, that's my happy place. I am a completely different person when I'm out there. And I noticed that about myself. I just it's like I'm part of it. And I really, really feel that. And I enjoy going out there. And I've made multiple trips out since Wendy has passed. But it's been healing. And it's also been kind of like a rediscovery of my future, how I will move forward the rest of my life. And so I really enjoyed that because of my love of the outdoors as a child. The trip my parents gave me to go to Philmont in New Mexico in '73, I wanted to go to college out there. So when I began to date Wendy in 1975, I let her know that I'm going to go to college out there in January '77. She was attending where she just graduated high school. She was going to go to Miami of Ohio. She went there the first year where her mom and dad had gone. And she's the oldest. And they both had gone there. Their kids are going to go there. Wendy went the first year. And during the second semester, she said, I want to go with Tom out west. Neither one of us had ever been to Arizona in our life.
Oh, my gosh.
Neither one of us ever flown an airplane. Let alone going to northern Arizona in January of '77. And if you know anything about Arizona, Flagstaff is the town we went to college in, Northern Arizona University, 7,000 foot elevation. We landed in Phoenix, 70 degrees and sunny. We rent a car, drive up to Flagstaff, 3 hours north, and it's like 25 degrees, 3 feet of snow on the ground.
Yep. I say there's
it was
a
awesome.
big
It was
contrast.
a big contrast, but it was a beautiful moment. We got our degree there. We moved down to the valley, taught school for 9 years. I got my master's at Arizona State, and then after 12 years, we said the vacation's up. Let's move home. So our children that were born out there could know their grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins.
Yeah,
I
similar.
love that. Yes. So you came.
gonna pull that same
Did you
thing.
feel like you were coming back home?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We knew we were coming back home.
Yeah. Did you know it when you guys moved out there that you would
No.
eventually come back?
Not really. I mean, we were out there for 12 years. And in fact, there was a time when my folks came out and they were looking at Sun City, possibly retiring there. And
Sure.
unfortunately, my dad was diagnosed with cancer and that put that out. Mom just stayed here.
Yeah.
Had they moved out, I think it would have been harder for us to have left.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to move out to be with us and we leave, that wouldn't have been cool. But anyway,
I love that you were journaling though. That for your trip, the 43-day trip.
who taught me that?
Who taught
Wendy.
you that? Wendy did. Yes.
Wendy journaled the last 20 years of her life every day.
That's amazing.
On her phone, I took a screenshot after she passed away of her alarms.
Yeah.
5:15 a.m. Time to meet with Jesus every day. That's how she started her day. And she would obviously read the Bible. She'd write about it, or she just asked questions. She would prayer request, praises. And I remember once she told me how she was using this next few weeks just to go back to her old journals and just kind of look at the answered prayers. You know,
That's so amazing.
and those answered prayers aren't always in what you want or what he wants, but the whole situation was like forgotten. Like, what was the big deal at that time?
Oh, yeah.
You know, but she modeled that. And I always try to let my kids know in school when I let them go for the summer how important it was to do those two things. The one we've talked about earlier, relationships,
Yep.
how important those are, and writing the written word. Because historians already right now see the writing on the wall. We are not writing letters. We're not writing complete thoughts. And this time in history, historically, will be very difficult outside of all the medias that we have.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But the truth factor,
Yes.
you know, the slants, whereas in a letter, which is between individuals,
Yes.
seem to have a greater authenticity and a flow and a complete thought. Today, even emails, most especially text messages, they're cryptic.
And they
I'll
disappear.
finish it later,
Right.
that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that makes it very difficult for people to reflect back on what was the sense. Because I think if we even look right now, we're going in circles, lots of circles
many
around each other. It's like,
That's crazy.
who are we?
Yeah.
But
What's your favorite book, Tom?
well, it's obviously going to be the Bible.
Yes.
That's a book I spend every day in.
It's actually 40 books.
Yeah.
All in one.
I can't develop a specific book in general, but I have purchased a lot of books over time.
Yeah.
If you go to my basement, there's a whole lot of books. My son says, Dad, when are you going to read them? What I do is I take them off the shelf. I look at a chapter. I go, I'm reading that chapter today. And a lot of them are historical.
Okay.
They're autobiographies. Some biographies. I mentioned Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Right.
And my point to finish up that story, when he went out to North Dakota, he found himself.
Yeah.
So on that 43-day trip I was on, my last few days were there. And I just,
So special.
will it give me something?
Yeah.
And I came home.
But you came home
Absolutely.
changed too, right?
You know, there's a lot of changes that happen when you lose a spouse.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you say that because I don't believe I'm the same person. Sometimes I struggle with that. But I think you can't help but not be the same person
Yeah.
because that's what change does to you. And when you're 42 years, every day, every single day, doing the same job, you know, coming home at the same time, knowing exactly what the other one's going through, We went to bed together. We did not get up at the same time because she got up at 5:15.
Right.
But grocery shop, and we were on all the time. And, to think about it, when I lost her the following day after she passed, I turned 61. And for 60 years, I lived with somebody, my parents, dorm mates, and then Wendy. And I was never, ever alone. And I could not believe being in that house alone at 61 going, somebody downstairs.
Wow.
It was strange.
Sure.
Very, but it's just the psychology of your everyday, how you approach it, not having that person to bounce things off of or to connect with. One of those interesting items that I found a year after she passed, I went back to Arizona for the first time since we moved back here 30 years later. We moved back in 88 and went out in 18, which is another special story. You talked about staying connected maybe with students. It's surprisingly how many of those kids in Arizona that I taught in the 80s are still a big part of my life.
Wow.
And I had a phone call from one young lady, of a couple. I had them both in my bio class. They began to date in my bio class as sophomores. They were both more, you would say, the ranching kind of kids. They would wear the Western clothing, the cowboy boots and the belt buckles. And they hit it off in class, and we had a great relationship. I coached gym and track, and we didn't talk for 25 years. And then all of a sudden they found me on Facebook. We became friends. We reunited again via Facebook. When they saw that Wendy had passed, they called me. And they're now in the financial advisor business, doing very well with offices all over the West.
Oh, that's amazing.
They called me up and they said they want to bless me. They wanted to fly me out to San Diego, put me up in a hotel, take me out in their sailboat. We could never find a good sailing date. I was still teaching, but I was able to go out in June of 18.
Yeah.
They sent me a ticket, flew out, put me up in a resort, Western Phoenix, the Wigwam, and gave me one of their cars to drive while they were at work during the day. And I would go visit our old homes and where I taught, where Wendy taught. And I was driving out to Buckeye, Arizona, where we first lived when we went down to the valley. Now, Buckeye, Arizona was at one time called Sydney because it was settled by people from Sydney, Ohio.
Really?
But they changed the name but kept the Ohio route by calling it Buckeye.
Right.
That is so interesting.
Every time you see Ohio State Buckeyes play out west, or that is in Arizona, I mean, Arizona loves the Ohio State Buckeyes. When they play there, they always do a story on Buckeye, the city.
I love that.
Yeah. But anyway, I drove out there, and I'm on this country road between Phoenix and where Buckeye's located. And we're seeing intersection of Yuma Road and Cotton Lane. And when we lived out there at that intersection was a cotton gin, because they grow a lot of cotton out there. And it was no longer functional. It was in disrepair, kind of like looking like it was probably dismantled, but for a little bit. And I turned to my left to look at it. And then all of a sudden I turned to my right to verify something with Wendy. Just out of habit. I hadn't done that the entire year that she had been gone.
Yeah.
But it told me that when you lose a life mate like that, you lose half of your collective memory. And so then I thought, how much else did I drive by? I had no clue. But she would have said, hey, you see that? And I go, oh yeah. But it's interesting. It's a different world, and it makes you different.
So you guys taught down there in Arizona, and then you came back and you both got into the Fairborn school system.
Actually,
is that right? Or no?
When we returned, we said, we'll come back if one of us gets a job.
Okay.
She was hired at Urbana.
Oh, wow.
And she taught home ec in the middle school for 2 years. And then she was hired by the Career Center, who she worked with until she passed.
Okay.
And she worked as the grads coordinator.
Mom. Yep.
And my first year, I didn't have a job. I was working at Andy's drive-thru. I was painting with Danny Wolf. And then all of a sudden, I got an offer to go to Wright State to work with the university prep program, where they would bus kids in from inner city Dayton, and we would give them a cultural experience. We were basically field trip city. We took them all over Columbus, Cincinnati,
That's phenomenal.
and the Dayton area.
Yeah.
To show them culture, to show them life beyond maybe what they've been exposed to, but the realization why an education can help bring these things into your everyday realm, so you can experience more than maybe where you are at right now. And that would be for anybody.
Right.
And so I did that for a year, and then that following summer in '89, I was hired by Fairborn Schools and taught there for 32 years.
It's amazing. It's amazing, Tom. And really, you and Wendy, like
Well,
our
that's what I was
children were
gonna say.
homeschooled, right?
Our
But you
introduction to the
have-
Kirsch clan.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, it was 20 years ago.
It was
almost,
20 years
almost
ago.
exactly
2005.
20 years ago. Yeah, because we schooled our daughters at home,
But
but they had a lot of friends that were in the Fairborn system as well as Mary Help. And so whether it was through scouting or through dance or through the things they were enjoying, they were invited to a Bible study.
sardines.
And it was going to be at this teacher's home
Yep.
in somewhere in our community, somewhere in Fairborn.
Yes.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, A, let's talk about going to somebody's house that we don't know. B, let's talk about what doctrine or what are they going to teach my kid or where do they, what's their story?
Right.
And then we did a little homework on you and Wendy from mutual friends.
Yep.
And
they're like,
they were like, no, this is super cool and it'll be great.
Yeah.
And so in their home, they would have 25 or 30 or 40.
70.
Yeah.
Okay, 70.
We would probably average in the mid to upper 40s into the 50s, but there were multiple times we had 70 kids, and thus the name Sardines,
Yes.
Packing
because
them
of how
into
we
this
were
house.
packed.
Right.
But credit to the kids who came up with that name, knowing their Bible and knowing that we are to be fishers of men.
Yeah.
Right.
And so the connection of being fishers and the fish, it was awesome.
So, did you watch the Chosen series at all?
I have seen an episode here
Okay.
or there, but I've not. Was it 3 seasons now?
I think
I
so.
think so.
Yeah.
Their graphics in the beginning of their show are the fish, and they're all moving. And every time we would watch it, I would think about you and
Yep.
Wendy
Yep.
because
Appreciate that.
it was like sardines. This is the sardines, and it was just came back around to that. It was so cool.
The person who does the music for The Chosen is a Fairborn High School graduate.
No. Do you know the name?
I do.
What is it?
Matt Nelson.
Matt Nelson. Matt Nelson. Shout
99
out to
grand-
you, Fairborn.
Amen. What a great kid. He went to
love that.
Nashville. He was all about music, and he's found a niche.
That's amazing.
Yep.
And so if you haven't figured it out yet, one of the things that Tom specializes in is connection.
Relationships.
Connection and relationships. He
Yeah.
is the person that 25 years later, somebody's going to send a plane ticket to say, come on out.
Yeah.
Amen.
And when you
so
walk in
blessed.
town with Tom, if you're seen anywhere with Tom, whether it's at a civic meeting or a chamber function, there's nobody here that hasn't been touched by you in some way and blessed by that in some way. And it goes way back to just your desire and your willingness to participate in other people's lives in a very authentic relationship kind of a way.
Nothing more important.
And now you're bringing it to our business community.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I don't think most of the people in our business community have an understanding of what you're up to. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you might actually be meeting a little bit of opposition to your style. But once people understand fully and come full circle, and that's the reason we started this podcast, is
for
to
community.
create community and let your community overlap with our community and your community. And these businesses will then come together as well and develop the relationships that strengthen any community and any relationship.
I hope they will know that my intentions are pure.
100%.
I love it. Do you have a vision that you could share, Tom? What's your vision for our community?
What I want for the chamber, and that's what I can touch, is that I want the mission to be rediscovered.
Okay.
We are a business fraternity. I want the businesses to know that I am there. And yet at the same time, I don't want to be in their life any more than they invite me.
Right.
But I have a role to play, and I can give, and I want to give. I may not be able to reach all 400 of them on a daily basis, and I won't.
Yeah.
But I would hope that they don't feel they can't reach out to me and say, hey, I'd like an appointment, or can you come visit my business? And what I have been spending time doing right now is we're heavily fundraising oriented because we're a nonprofit.
Okay.
So we need to generate money to stay in business.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to do right now is develop our partnerships a little deeper. I'm also utilizing the ambassadors who are the volunteers who are willing to step up and help me, help us,
Okay.
and then ultimately the business community by helping run some of those fundraising programs. So my role can be focused on the membership, the business community. And I've done one thing. I've taken the chamber facility and I've completely renovated it on the inside. It now is a business center. You walk in, it looks like we're doing business. And that our partnership with Right Pat and Right State is integral to Fairborn as we are integral to them. And I love how they value us as we value them. And so when presenting that to membership, they know that, okay, I can feel comfortable to talk to Tom about this or that, because he will do what he can, not only through the chamber, but as an advocate with the city or any of our other larger partners in the area, or any other partners for that matter.
Yeah.
So I had to establish that environment, because before, when you walked in there, as was mentioned earlier, nothing negative about anyone who preceded me. They all played a role to where I am.
Right.
They handed it off to me.
Stepping
It's
stones.
incumbent upon me to play a role that when I hand it off to somebody, that, we just keep building this. The bottom line is that's part of it, because the visual is impactful to people. They see that. The nonverbal is huge. The second part of it right now is we had a big meeting today. We're really fast working on it. We're recreating our website.
Nice.
And how we send out information to our membership. In fact, our first newsletter went out today.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay. Rather than shooting one here and shooting one here and shooting one here, as in a flyer here, flyer there, everywhere, a flyer, all one time, once a week, not going to bother you. You will know that in that particular one, you will have, like this one is a combined chamber news for members and chamber from me news that you need to know about the Chamber of Commerce. Eventually, I'd like to see that every Tuesday you get updates on the membership. So if you want to know what the other members are doing or what they might be hosting, always check your Tuesday mail for a chamber newsletter. Thursday will always be from me. It'll always be updates about what we're doing, what we offer, upcoming events, recaps of events, and things of that nature. So if you want to know something about chamber news, you only have to look at Thursday's emails. Twice a week, don't bother anybody, but give them something of value both days.
Right on.
And so this website, which is separate from the newsletter, which comes in the email, the website is like original website 101. It's does not look appealing. Two things for me. I'm going to recreate it. I want it to be like impactful. When you look at it, you just go, I want in. I got to spend more time. And we know how much time is spent on every page.
Yes, indeed.
And where the hits are. And so we need them to be engaged by that. And my two outcomes, and that's how I've always operated my life, probably because I taught school for 42 years. It's all about outcomes.
Yep.
You don't do anything without having an outcome. If you can't measure it, then you can keep working or you redefine whatever. My two outcomes for the website, one, it has to be a business tool. You will have to be able to go on there, find your business model, one page, like a school teacher would do. Give them one page with your information at the top, all the intangibles of your membership, all the programming we offer, all the programs you are in, the programs we recommend for your model, and then we offer other things such as, give us some checks, give us some idea about what type of educational programming you would like. We'll give you a list of all of your business models within your realm. Maybe you guys might want to all get together at the chamber at our business center and have a round table or have a guest speaker speak to everybody rather than maybe doing it here at the office because business is being run. That conference room, which has been completely redone, and it looks like a conference room, is available to you for that moment in time. Just a side note on that conference room, the business center, putting in a smart TV so that they can have the two-way interaction with, somebody distant. Also, computer in there for them to use. But my biggest goal for that room, even though right now it's being utilized as the meeting space for the Rotary Board.
Oh, okay.
They meet there.
Perfect.
Oh, that's nice.
BW Greenway Board meets there. I invite any other board that does not have brick and mortar.
Yeah.
They can use the chamber as a member.
That's
use
fantastic.
that. But my target are all of those other who have no brick and mortar, like your landscaping companies,
Okay.
people that work out of their home. Bring your team in.
Yeah.
And we'll take care of you. We'll give you what you need there to pull it off. We'll supply the paper, the pens. You bring them in, and it should be a great moment.
Get business
Sounds
done at
amazing.
the business
How many
center.
people can you have in that conference room?
That conference room will probably seat comfortably, probably 16 to 18 max.
Oh
maybe.
my gosh.
And that's
That's
just
a good
around the
size.
table. That's around
Yeah.
the table.
Right.
We could put perimeter seating in as well. And I'm thinking about a second television because obviously when you sit in an oval, I want them to be able to stay seated and not have,
Lean in, lean
Yeah.
over.
and they can have a TV one direction and a TV the other direction and be able to watch the same thing and then be able to face one another when they discuss about it. It is critical that the business knows that I know they exist
Yes.
and where they stand and that I care enough to offer this or that and also highlight what I believe are strengths for that business in the intangible category.
Okay.
The things that we do in the chamber that don't cost anybody money,
Yeah.
like being an ambassador or coming to chats or hosting a chat or volunteering in other capacities, me being a team of one.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a phenomenal office manager, Janine.
Good. Oh, yeah.
She does all of the paperwork, all the financial. She does all of the email, the website management. Which allows me to be the face, to make those interactions and relationships, and to keep the chamber moving forward. Janine works Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I work Monday through Friday, but her role is without question huge for our chamber and for its ability to function as it does. That business model has to be a component of the website.
Yeah.
The second is it has to be a citizenry asset. Citizens who constantly call us, possibly believing we're city or just seeking information.
Oh.
We have to make sure that we take those questions that they've asked us in emails, in phone calls, in person,
Yeah.
that we have a button on the front page that they can go directly to, find out more about this, put a link there, takes them right to where they need to be in the city.
Oh, I love that.
We want to be able to help them.
Sure.
They drive our economy. And the reason that we do some of our fundraising ties to being a give back to the community as well, to thank them for being a part of what makes a community, the businesses, the residents, and that interaction in between.
I
And we
love
want to be
that.
grateful.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm wondering is, as business owners, but also as citizens of Fairborn, how can we help you?
And I would encourage you or any person who would like to get on our website eventually. When I have that posted, I have hard copies right now, and I can actually email you one.
Okay.
And it will be on a membership. It'll be on the website for members to look at. I have created an entire page,
Okay.
front and back, of intangibles. How you can be a part of the chamber just by showing up, and basically that's it, showing up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we do that don't cost money. And so I would invite people to take a look at that at some point.
And as business owners, opening up our business for chamber chats.
A chamber chat would be great. Volunteering at different chamber events.
Okay.
We had a ribbon cutting. When we invite the membership to come to ribbon cuttings, we would encourage it. We had one last night. It's a company from overseas that's moved their American headquarters to Fairborn, Ohio.
That's cool.
They had looked at Atlanta. They said, let's go to Ohio.
I love it.
And I'm thinking the heart of it all.
Yes, I always say that. It's the best.
But they started in Springfield. They went to Beaver Creek. Now they're in Fairborn. And they like where they're located.
Growing. They keep more
growing.
space.
They need the space, but they like the access of 675 right there. So we had this ribbon cutting last night, and they went all out. I mean, it was quite the evening. I got there at 3:45. I got home at 8:45.
Oh my goodness.
Because they were just so into life and wanting to know about things. But I've never been to a ribbon cutting where they broke out the champagne and had toast after toast after toast.
This is a European company.
This is the European company. I love it.
We need more of them, right?
Amen. Well, in fact, there's another European company moving in right next door to them in 2 months.
Oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
I love it.
That's awesome.
I love it.
And so what about bringing restaurants here too?
Yeah.
It would be so fun to have a couple of downtown restaurants too.
Part of what I've spoken with the city, and I meet with them regularly, and we talk about economic development, and I'm on the planning board steering committee and things like that, so I can be aware of who wants to come in and so on and so forth. It's a difficult thing, even though it seems like it would just be that easy.
Right.
Zoning for parcels of property dictate what can go there.
Got it.
You know, not that it can't be changed, but what it is what it is right now. And so that takes time and whatever. But part of my mission when I took over and in going into these meetings with the city was that when I look at our town, a city that has no through streets,
Right.
and like Xenia has 42 and 68, 72 and 35. People just travel through the town because they're going from A through B to get to C.
Right.
Whereas Fairborn, you don't drive through Fairborn to go somewhere unless you're going to work at the base or Wright State.
Yeah.
Because all of our west and south is occupied by those two. And to the north, it's kind of isolated because of the approach to the runway and quarries. And out to the east, we have 675, which is actually kind of a barrier. But we also have, respectfully, Bath Township, which is an entity.
Yeah.
We also have, other things out there that we would have to contend with for development, but that development can come.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that I believe in my conversations, the city will not forget its core.
Yes,
it wants to develop
Yeah.
what we already have and fill in. And I love that because too many cities just grow out and all of a sudden they look like a donut with the core empty.
Right.
And Fairborn's not had that philosophy. And I like that. But since we don't have through streets, how do we get people here? We need venues.
Destinations.
A destination.
100%.
We have Giovanni's and Lefty's tickets.
We
You
do.
need Halloween gear? We got
and
you.
Halloween things.
Yep.
And
Yeah. We do have destinations. We need probably more
okay.
so that we can cover the entire year and every day of the week.
Yeah.
But even the Phoenix, as it continues its move to be full open,
Yeah.
that day will come. The 2 kids I had in class, they'll make it happen eventually. They're not giving up. I love the fact that Jordan and Chris are running that because those kids have passion.
Yeah,
We
they
met
do.
them at the Roaring Twenties
At
party.
the Roaring
Correct.
Twenties, they were amazing,
They
Tom.
are awesome
Amazing.
kids. They did a great
can
job
see
at
why
that
you're
dance.
Backing them. Yeah.
But destinations or that is venues, sit down restaurants, as you mentioned,
Right.
and the third one would be retail. I want to go to that store. That's where it's located.
Yeah.
If we can get those 3 in, but it's not as simple as wanting, it's the ability to get, and they have to exist to get.
Right.
And we have to be able to sell what we have here.
Yeah.
And I hope what I do with the chamber helps make that a place that they can talk to me.
I think it can only help.
Yeah, and the city as well. They're very open. People will tell you, and I heard it last night at the groundbreaking from the developer who brought in that European company, how awesome it is to work with the city of Fairborn. So kudos to them.
Well, guess who else is on our list for interviews in the future? Our city manager.
Excellent.
The new guy.
Yep. Mike's a good man. He's always been great to me and to the chamber. He's a positive for our community. I'm glad he has that role.
Perfect. Perfect.
And it sounds like you guys work very well together.
We have.
Yeah.
And he and I and his assistant, Sharice, we would since back in June when I took over.
That's
and they've been awesome.
There's that relationship thing again.
Relationships.
Always goes back to that.
First on your
Amen.
list.
If you're going to sum up, kind of wrap up your philosophy and the things that you would share with 42 years worth of students and education, I know you've got kind of an analogy that you like to use. You want to share it with us for tonight?
The parade is an analogy I used to give to my kids at the end of every year about encouraging them as they go on to the next level of schooling or wherever they were going, seniors, military, right to the workforce, whatever. If you want to be happy and you've developed that relationship with yourself and with others, and you are spending time being reflective of your life and knowing who you are and what you want and where you've been and where you are and where you want to go, if you're going to stay on that curb and watch life walk by you, parade by you, as you would when you go to the 4th of July parade, you just sit there and you watch one float after another, one opportunity after another pass you by, and you don't get up off that curb, that's on you. And I would always encourage them, don't be the person in life that watches it go by. Be the person that gets up off that curb. You go to the front, you pick up your banner, your flag, and you lead your parade where you want to go in life. And what would a beautiful thing would be? Take others with you.
Yeah.
Take others with you.
That is so good, Tom. It makes me just want to get like a big old baton and just
Well, you know, sometimes I think where we live in Western society, we have made life very difficult because there's a lot thrown at us.
Yeah.
And it becomes distraction.
Yes.
And a lot of people live in a distracted world. We need to filter that world. And it begins with us, our relationships, our time, our reflection, and maybe we can clear a path for that parade to pass through.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps. Tom, you are so good. Thank you so
worked out beautifully.
much
Couldn't have gone
for
better.
being here with us
I
tonight.
appreciate the both of you, your family, the time I've spent with the girls years ago.
Yeah.
I wish them nothing but the very best and Godspeed to them.
Thank you.
And I love the fact that this last year and a half, I've been reacquainted with the two of you, and I look forward to the years to come.
We agree.
As do we.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
so
Tom.
much.
Yeah. Thank
Well, we usually do a health and wellness tip at the end of an episode, but we don't need to
No,
tonight.
because he just gave us some spiritual wellness tips, emotional wellness tips,
100%.
relational wellness tips,
Yeah.
and those are just so valuable, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
We'll look forward. Stay tuned. We'll be back for another exciting episode of Living Well Together. Relationships together.
Right.
See you then.
Exactly. Thanks.
there's anything I like real. REAL. I like real. I like genuine. I love that because it's precious in this world.
You're not wrong. You are 100% right.